Off the coast of Southern California, on the sun-drenched sands of Catalina Island, a fascinating and hotly contested element of ancient American history is said to be taking place. Evidence of an ancient civilization made up of fair-haired giants, creatures that were taller and stronger than current humans, is allegedly found among the tranquil beaches and undulating hills of this area. This fascinating theory comes from the discovery of enormous skeletons that point to the presence of these larger-than-life beings. These giants have sparked heated debates among archaeologists, academics, and fans over whether they were indeed technologically sophisticated for their time. This has led to a lively discussion on the giants' veracity. At the same time, more well-known archaeological wonder may be seen on Santa Rosa Island, which is close to the north of where the Arlington Springs Man was found in 1959. The earliest known human remains in North America are this prehistoric skeleton, which dates back more than 13,000 years. Our understanding of early human migratory patterns and the way of life of prehistoric dwellers in North America has been greatly improved by its existence. These discoveries stimulate an ongoing investigation into our beginnings and add to the mystifying fabric of human history. Giant skeletons of Catalina. For a very long time, explorers, researchers, and archaeologists have been fascinated by the California Channel Islands, notably Catalina Island. The Tonga, a prehistoric Native American tribe, lived on these islands 8,000 years ago. The bones of an 8-foot-tall adult were discovered in 1913 on Catalina Island by German scientist Dr. Forstenen together with artifacts and relics that contradicted the conventions of Native American burial places. There was a weird flat stone with strange markings among these artifacts. This discovery seems to support a local myth claiming that giants formerly resided in the area. However, while it was being uncovered, the skeleton's fragile state, which was buried in Avalon Bay's hardened black sand that showed indications of a previous fire, dissolved. Only a few complete bones, including an entire foot, the jawbone, and the head, were still there, making it impossible to definitively corroborate Forstenen's gigantic. The roots of the legend of the Catalina giant are unknown, although earlier Channel Islands skeleton finds of exceptional size have added to the intrigue surrounding this legend. Despite doubts, the Channel Islands' reputation for producing exceptional archaeological finds continues to enthrall academics looking for unusual discoveries. Massive Glidden's discovery. Ralph Glidden, a self-taught archaeologist and former carpenter, started an ambitious excavation effort on Catalina Island around the beginning of the 20th century. Despite having no official education, Glidden sought attention and hired a publicist, misrepresenting himself as an archaeological expert or professor. He meticulously excavated several Native American cemeteries between 1919 and 1928, gathering a diverse collection of artifacts including antique arrowheads, clubs, flutes made from human bones, and beads said to have been used as money. The most spectacular claims, however, were made by Glidden, who claimed to have found remains of a race of giants. They were depicted as being 7 to 9 feet tall with features like those of Europeans, and with highly developed technology that greatly outstripped the presumptive capabilities of their period. According to Glidden, these giants were the mysterious forebears of the Native Americans whose graves he had disturbed. He proposed that they were a whole society, shrouded in the mists of antiquity. The indigenous human population was supposed to have worshipped these giants, a concept that was allegedly supported by ritualistic burial practices. Media sources were interested in Glidden's astonishing claims, but conventional scientific communities and his colleagues quickly disproved his technique and conclusions, branding him a fake. His claimed discoveries were mostly brushed off as pseudoscientific hoaxes, devoid of supporting data. The Catalina Museum of Island Indians, founded in 1924 by Glidden as part of his ambitious plans, featured his collection in a gruesome and unnerving way, complete with bone-based decorations and gloomy exhibits. Visitors experienced Glidden's carefully maintained collection of bones, frequently placed in unsettling attitudes, for a 35-cent entrance charge. The veracity of his assertions, however, was contested, and accusations that the bigger bones were bought from a gift shop raised questions about their legitimacy. As Glidden's credibility waned, he closed the museum in 1950 in an effort to sell his collection, albeit for a tiny fraction of what he had originally anticipated it would be worth. Ultimately, with the aim of preserving the island's history, the Wrigley family famous for their chewing gum empire, bought Gliddon's collection in 1968 for about $5,000. Following that, the Wrigleys gave Gliddon's controversial discoveries to the nearby Catalina Museum, where they are now on display as an intriguing episode in the annals of archaeological history. The human origins mysteries. A major find is known as the Arlington Springs Man has been at the center of a contentious discussion over the first occupants of the Channel Islands. While Clinton's tactics may have missed this chance, archaeologists actually discovered the bones roughly 10 years after Gliddon's museum had shut down. These human bones were buried in silt that dates back to the Pleistocene epoch, some 11,700 years ago, and are protruding from a canyon rock on Santa Rosa Island. The remains were covered in plaster and relocated to the Santa Barbara Museum of Natural History for more accurate study when technology improved, realizing the limits of modern dating methods. The Arlington Springs Man's age was astoundingly determined to be 13,000 years old by radiocarbon dating in the late 1980s, making them the oldest securely dated human remains in the Americas. This finding fundamentally altered our understanding of early coastal migration strategies by proving that boats were used far earlier than previously believed. Current digs in the Channel Islands provide the possibility of learning more about the existence of the Arlington Springs Man and his prehistoric society as archaeological methodologies advance. A curious, mysterious case. Stories of enormous humanoid beings coexisting with or predating ancient civilizations can be found throughout history. These stories are woven together with the discovery of skeletal remains that are taller than 7 feet and are dispersed throughout the world. These uncovered skeleton remains frequently have unusually long heads and arranged teeth that contradict accepted rules. There are over 1,000 reports of the finding of these enormous bones in the vastness of North America, but the present center of science continues to have a firm skepticism towards their reality. The contentious assertions of Ralph Liddon, whose claims of discovering giants on the wild Catalina and Channel Islands have been met with a fair dose of skepticism, and in some circles outright condemnation as an elaborate hoax, further muddy the story. As Gliddon's purported discoveries came under investigation, his reputation began to wane and doubts about the veracity of his claims began to surface. But in the annals of scientific knowledge, the idea that isolated evolution leads to smaller species as a result of geographical limitations, a phenomenon correctly called insular dwarfism, endures as an unchangeable fact. This idea is demonstrated by the Channel Islands, where the pygmy mammoth remains and the tiny island fox serve as examples of how geographic isolation can have a transforming influence on species size, creating a monument to the potent forces of adaptation. The scientific community's reluctance to accept the idea of ancient giants, however, persists despite the profusion of enormous skeleton findings. The tension between spectacular assertions and serious inquiry into the facts is highlighted by this comparison of sensational statements and empirical evidence. Consider subscribing to the channel if your wanderlust yearns for a journey into the mysteries of antiquity, where the puzzles of bygone ages wait eagerly to be solved. Thanks for watching.